some good news for Republicans yesterday. We'll get to in a second, but some bad news as well. We can put up C6 here. So Trump won Miami by like 21 or 22 points or something like that, a real blowout. In the exact same area, Democrats won in a landslide. I think it was like a 22-point swing or something. Trump is plummeting with young people, plummeting with Hispanic voters, including in Miami, which is sometimes, which is a different set of Hispanic voters than the rest of the country. You put up C7. There were also elections elsewhere around the country. So you had throughout Florida, you had the old villages.
Brian's old stomping grounds.
You had, in each of these special elections, you had 15 to 20 point swings. I can, while you're chatting, I can pull up a couple others, because there were other elections that had everywhere from 10 to 30. They flipped one in a very rural district with a candidate who had lost by like 20 plus points. He won yesterday in like a house, state house, like special election. So the same pattern we're seeing, the same pattern we saw in Tennessee and that we've seen in other special elections, continuing.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels a lot like 2018. It doesn't feel new, but it does feel a lot like 2018 for Democrats. Now, they were on, actually, it might even be a more powerful cycle for Democrats, because then, we'll remember, those campaigns were so focused on Russia collusion and Russia in general, and trying to kind of muster this resistant spirit to the question of Trump, like shattering norms and all of that. What we're going to talk about now, I think.
It was Georgia, by the way.
Georgia, and those we talked about
Trump plus 12 district, and Democrats flipped it.
Well, about a month ago, we were talking about these random down ballot races, local elections in Georgia, where, because of data centers in some cases, Democrats were winning. It's now a pattern, obviously now a pattern, which is why Susie Wiles is talking about how Donald Trump is going to campaign like it's 2024 in the 2026 midterms. But in 2018, Democrats had this, like they had this plan to campaign almost, I don't want to call it fully cultural, but it was kind of this cultural question of rejecting Trumpism and rejecting collusion with Russia, rejecting what Trump stood for. And that helped motivate the base. It didn't help in presidential cycles. I mean, I guess it helped in 2020, although I still think it's kind of difficult to say what really, like in terms of what put Biden over the edge. There's the COVID question, of course. Would Trump have won if it weren't COVID? I don't know. But all that is to say, Trump comes back after the lawfare and claims this bigger victory than before in 2024. And the problem for Republicans isn't that Trump can't get elected. It's probably his last term. The problem is none of the other Republicans are Trump. And that's where, for example, we can put C8 up on the screen. This is a report from Notice. The NRSC, so the National Republican Senatorial Committee, according to Notice, and I confirmed this actually this morning, ran a, quote, AstroTurf recruitment process to push Jasmine Crockett into the Texas Senate race. Ryan, you said they robocalled high-propensity Democrats, urged them to call Jasmine Crockett's office, then connected the caller to the office. They pushed polls suggesting that she would win. Crockett believed this hype and then launched her run, which is completely predictable. It's why the NRSC was like, this is going to be super cheap and will give us Jasmine Crockett to run against in all of these different races around the country. It's not just about Texas, where they feel fine about John Cornyn. I'm sure they'd rather. I'm sure they would rather run with Cornyn than Ken Paxton.
Oh, they 100% want Cornyn, but he's losing now, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a question of whether Crockett getting in makes Paxton's life easier, because he can say character is probably not going to be on the ballot.
Oh, yeah, because Paxton can win.
Yeah, he might say something like that. But either way, I mean, Republicans feel pretty comfortable in Texas. That's my sense of it. They've never been, last 10 years, super comfortable, but they feel pretty comfortable.
Were they nervous if it was going to be the like
Colin Allred.
the little white guy or Colin Allred.
Oh, Tallarico?
Yeah.
I think Tallarico makes them nervous, for sure. I don't know that. I haven't confirmed that.
Really?
Like,
It's just...
I know, it's crazy. I think that maybe they're buying into the hype of Tallarico going on
But him
Rogan.
against Paxton. Cornyn wins, I think, easily, right?
Yeah, I think so. Tallarico against Paxton would be really interesting because Tallarico could plausibly make a character argument against Paxton, who has character scandals in his past.
He's a character. But you're a Christian. Does the fact that like
absolutely not
Tallarico's
no
he feels like a Democrat's version of a like
that's exactly
Christian.
Right, of an evangelical Christian.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He doesn't speak the language of evangelical Christianity. He speaks the language of like which is of a
like
very
my kind, like the social justice. Like,
I mean, I would, of course, argue that Christianity is predicated on social justice. But what you're saying is this, like, this kind of niche politicized social justice. And I don't mean politicized in a pejorative sense. I mean that it has a political connotation. The language has a political connotation. And it's a very different language than what your average Texas evangelical speaks. And so the media sees Tallarico, and DC people see Tallarico talking about scripture. And they're like, oh, do we have something here? This guy could really give conservative Christians a run for their money. And it's like, nobody is buying that as their own, like one of their own. So it's, I think it's kind of a DC phenomenon, but Republicans are not immune to that at all. People sitting at the NRSC, I definitely would find that compelling, I think.
And so Crockett announced that she was running yesterday. In her announcement speech, she said that she saw herself rising in the polls.
Yeah.
And so let's linger for a second on what the Republicans pulled off here. And it's interesting that you were able to confirm it. I'd be curious if you could get from your source whether they also ran a like bot reply campaign.
Oh, interesting.
If I were them, what I would do is every time Crockett would tweet,
because you know she's online,
she's super hyper online, checking her replies, just reply. You need to run for Senate. Run for Senate. This brilliant tweet. Go get them. Now run for Senate. So what they did, Crockett was not in the polls that were that were in the Democratic polls or the head-to-heads. So the NRSC ran a poll asking, putting Crockett in.
Right.
It's clever. It's
nobody had been talking
rights.
about it. It was like nobody.
And
NRSC.
And she's popular, like among the Democratic base. And so polls showed, oh wow, she's looking actually pretty good. So they pushed that poll to all the press, and they get some coverage around it. And then future pollsters said, well, okay, now Crockett's in the press.
Right.
We'll include her in our poll too. And so she consistently performed well.
And her name recognition's way higher than random state assembly member.
Totally.
Or whatever it is.
And so then there's this technology, you've maybe been on the receiving end of it, where you robocall, you get a voter file with like, and you can say like, who are the big Democratic activists in this? Give me 100,000 Democratic activists. You robocall them and say, we're from X sounding nice group. Jasmine Crockett should run for Senate. Like, if you agree, press 1. Press 1. Would you like to call Jasmine Crockett's office and urge her to run for Senate? If so, press 2 or whatever. So you press 2, and then right there on the phone, they connect you with the office. And so the office is talking to a genuine human being who genuinely wants Jasmine Crockett. But they were never going to call if the NRSC hadn't reached out and prodded them to do it. So then at the end of every day, Crockett, and I sympathize with her on this front, she's getting these reports from her staff. Like, we're getting flooded with phone calls from constituents who really say that you should run for Senate. Now, Democrats have done this Pied Piper type stuff to Republicans, and sometimes it works, and they get a terrible candidate in there.
Well, Democrats push Trump, for example.
And sometimes it backfires.
Yeah.
And sometimes even when it doesn't work, you increase the nastiness and the polarization by cementing a particular type of, by artificially cementing a particular type of candidate. Because now Crockett will have the support of her own base, plus she'll have Republican support out there. And the Republicans have said that they're going to fund some like independent expenditures. So outside groups are going to be out there attacking Tallarico and boosting Crockett paid for by Republicans.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the point of running Jasmine Crockett, or the point of nudging Jasmine Crockett into the race, isn't even just about Texas. It's about having this worked really successfully for Republicans in 2010 when it came to Nancy Pelosi. It's kind of laughable to, again, like Beltway types, like, oh, really, you're running Fire Pelosi ad campaigns. But when you're tying a San Francisco liberal to let's say a Tallarico type candidate in a red state, that's actually pretty effective. And so if you're going to tie Jasmine Crockett, who has said that, what was it, Latinos who vote for Trump have a slave mentality. I mean, she said all kinds of just reckless stuff because she reminds me of Jennifer Welch in this sense. There's this vacuum of Democrats willing to break rhetorical norms in the same way that Trump does. And so they stepped into that void, but they're not necessarily like going to be persuasive figures to swing voters. And so Democrats lack the person that can do both. They lack the person that's willing to violate rhetorical norms like Trump has done and like voters are happy to see them do, but then also be appealing to swing voters. I think Graham Plattner is the best example of somebody who actually does that very well.
He's doing that now. AOC in 2018 did that in the way that
Bernie does that for sure.
In 2020, the way that she would, with like her like constant presence on Instagram and her Twitter clapbacks.
Yes,
when that was a thing.
Yeah. Although that Crockett takes that to another level, and Welch takes that to another level. And I think Welch isn't running for anything, so it's apples and oranges in that case. But I just think Crockett is the Crockett rhetoric when it's, if it were, I think, clever and smart, which it often isn't. When you're just accusing people of taking money from Jeffrey Epstein.
But it's well done.
Right.
Like the Butch thing that she rolled out at MTG.
Oh, that was hilarious.
I couldn't pull that off.
No,
that was masterful.
You believe she believes what she says when she's talking about some of that stuff. Now, when she's talking about crypto, Ryan, you reported this in your book. I don't know that she really believes anything. Yeah,
the substance doesn't match the rhetorical norm breaking. And also in 2020, she celebrated herself for not taking corporate PAC money compared to her opponent. Within months of that, started taking corporate PAC money. Has taken like over $300,000 now in corporate PAC money since she's been in Congress. Yes, she's gotten millions in support from crypto. In my book, I reported that basically the campaign was like, look, we might get attacked by these crypto people. How should we handle this? She's like, well, what are the options? They're like, well, here's the crypto plank. Like, here's what they want you to say.
She was like, how much does it cost?
If you say this, like, they will support you and give you money. If you don't say this, they will come after you. And she's a very much, what do I have to do kind of candidate. She's like, okay, fine. She's like, I'm not running. And so to give her like the steel man on this, it's like, she doesn't care about crypto.
Right.
And a lot of people don't.
Right.
It's like, so she's like, whatever. Like, who cares?
How much does it cost?
Just sign whatever they say they want. Because if I don't sign it, they're going to nuke me. Because they were going around nuking everybody.
Right.
That was like remotely like questioning crypto. So you can justify it to yourself, well, I'll never get into Congress to do the good things I care about if I take a stand on this thing that I frankly, honestly don't care about.
No big deal.
She also, does similar on Israel. Like 2023, she took an AIPAC funded trip, has consistently voted to send weapons to Israel. And there's some clips going viral now of defending our allyship with Israel. So you get the kind of squad-like rhetoric, but it's not matched with, any type of like policy that would challenge corporate power.
For more, check out Ryan Grimm's TikTok.
There you go.
So we'd be remiss if we didn't play a little snippet here from Brad Lander's announcement video. He is challenging Dan Goldman. Let's take a look.
Hi, Brad.
Good morning. Great to see you.
This community means everything to me. It's where Meg and I raised Marek and Rosa, and where we've worked together for years to make life better for our neighbors.
Brad rooted out waste and corruption.
Divested billions in fossil fuels.
Built housing New Yorkers can afford.
Saved 50,000 families from being kicked out of their homes.
When Donald Trump and Elon Musk tried to steal $80 million from New York City,
Brad caught it.
And when Ice Ages started kidnapping our neighbors, I fought back.
Keep fighting, Brad.
take a look at this video. It's Brad Lander being arrested by ICE.
I've always believed that you fight for the things you love. And I love this city. I love the streets where I walked my kids to school, the public schools that nurtured their curiosity, the fields in Prospect Park where I coached their Little League games. But most of all, I love the people who make this city what it is. So, I'm running for Congress because the challenges we face can't be solved with strongly worded letters or high-dollar fundraisers. And not by doing apex bidding in a district that knows our safety, our freedom, our thriving is bound up together. Our mayor can have an ally in Washington instead of an adversary in his own backyard. At a moment of dark oppression, we can shine.
Ryan, you know Brad Lander. We had him on the show actually not too long ago. What do you make of this announcement?
This is a very welcome announcement to the kind of Mamdani coalition. Mamdani immediately endorsed. Bernie Sanders has endorsed. Yulin New, who came within like a point or two of beating Dan Goldman the first time he ran, was running again, and she dropped out. And she put up a heartfelt thread that I would encourage people to go find, where she said, look, we lost last time because the left did not consolidate. You had Mondaire Jones, Bill de Blasio, which a lot of people forget.
I totally forgot.
And Yulin New, all splitting the vote, and it allowed Dan Goldman, Levi Strauss heir, to spend his own fortune and kind of stumble to victory with like 30, because it's first past the post. You don't have to do a runoff. So so with a divided opposition, Goldman was able to get in. And so what Yulin New is signaling is that everybody should get out and let this be a one-on-one Goldman versus Lander. And if Goldman can spend an enormous amount of money because he has it and can raise it, but Lander's going to be able to raise small dollars too from the Bernie wing of the party. So I think this is Lander's to lose.
Man, this is going to be one to follow. I think Crockett versus Tallarico is also just an interesting test of the different strands in Democratic Party right now. You have Tallarico running sort of Biden with maybe a slightly more Bernie aligned. I don't even know if you can say that because he's also a big AIPAC guy. He took money from Miriam Adelson, I believe. I don't know the particulars of the AIPAC connection, but
and when it's Goldman's move would be to say that criticism of his support for Israel is anti-Semitic.
Oh, he'll definitely do that.
Telling that to Brad Lander, the highest-ranking Jewish elected official in New York, supported by Bernie Sanders, the most famous Jewish elected official from New York, isn't going to land the same way it's going to land against a Mamdani. It's just not.
Especially post-Elron. And with Tariq, you have this almost Biden-style, we will restore norms and civility, and Crockett is the opposite. But their populism is reversed. Like you have this interesting, if these are the two character traits, you have kind of populism. At least Tallarico kind of runs and tries to make people think he's populist. We would probably disagree with that characterization. And love of norms versus non-populism and hatred of norms. You're sort of switching. It's like a little bit of an interesting role reversal. So these are some really interesting tests coming up for Democrats.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.